What's going on, everybody? So it's been a little while. I got back to work on the Tahoe today. I made sure both sides are pretty much sanded as much as I want to go with 400. The rest will be done with 600. And I just masked all this stuff off. I got my 1000 grit sandpaper in. So realistically, you're supposed to pull this glass out, but you know, I've been kind of doing this whole job like, you know, on a budget, so I don't really feel like doing that and re-put it, you know, put the glass back in. That's the right way to do it, but not doing that. So what I have here is a nice wet or dry sponge sand, for sanding, and I have some 1000 grit paper here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this stuff right here, or this is 600 actually. This is 600. I have 1000 grit as well somewhere. Here we go. Here's my 1000 grit paper. So I'm gonna use this paper with this wet, and I'm gonna go ahead and go over the whole thing. We got some dinks here and there we'll work at, but you know, we're not gonna be able to fill that in. I wish I could fill everything, but can't put color on everything because we gotta try to blend into this panel here. I'm worried the gas door might not match, but that's just a risk we're gonna have to take because I'm gonna have to put color into it up to here, and I wanna get in here, and I'm not gonna have the gas door on, but it is what it is. Hopefully the paint matches well enough to where the gas door doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. If it does, I guess I can always give it a little bit of paint or try to blend that after, whatever, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's gonna be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit everything here with a 1000 grit wet and get all the, you know, orange peel taken off of it, so then we'll be perfectly ready to actually go ahead and shoot paint on it. Guys, so the last time I filmed was probably a couple of days ago, but I got this thing all sanded down with 1000 grit. So this thing is all, you can see, it's all nice and sanded, pretty even. I hit it with 1000 grit wet, and I tried to sand in here as best as I could. It's really tough to get in here. The right way to do this is certainly to pull the glass, but I didn't do that, obviously, because I'm just, you know, doing a little garage spray job here, so we're gonna see how it comes out. I'll make sure I tape this off really well. But for right now, what I'm doing is gonna go clean out my garage, try to clean the floor really well, minimize all the dust, and then I'm gonna proceed to try to tape this thing off after I pull it in. I already washed the car, so I got it nice and clean so we can minimize the amount of dust. And I got, yeah, everything's all sanded and ready. This is gonna be pretty tough. I'm gonna try to do a blend here. I've never actually blended before, so I'm not sure if I'll make my own separate video on the paint process, but I'm really going to be learning as I go on the paint because I've never blended anything before, and I'm starting on a red car, so it should be pretty tough. It's basically the toughest color to blend, so we'll see how it goes, but not entirely sure, but we'll give it our best shot, right? Alright guys, so I'm going to make this the start to the last video. I'm just going to cap the other one off at some point. Or maybe I'll just lump it all into one, I'm not sure, but this is going to be the beginning of it. Whether that's the other footage or not, I'll throw it in the correct corresponding order for you guys, but we are ready to paint. We're going to be doing a blend, so I'm going to try to run through it really quick. There's a lot of good channels that explain this really well, but basically this color right here and this, you know, primer obviously are vastly different, so we need to paint this primer here with this color, but it's impossible to get a perfect match. So in a perfect world, you could just run it right up to it, but in reality, we really have to try to blend this little repair here out this far, I would say. I'm going to try to come into it about this far. Maybe I'll stay away from the edges over here, just going to try to fan it up to here and around to here, and I'll show you guys that process, but basically I'm going to be using a clear base coat or a base coat blender, and every paint manufacturer has a different name for it, but this is called Transtar. I use Transtar paint. It's LV500. That's what they have for it, just the code. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go ahead and paint that over the entire panel. And that's going to go ahead and fill in all those fine sanding scratches and all that stuff that I need to fill in. Anything that we may have nicked up doing this whole thing. So I'm going to do that, and then once I get ready to actually do the blend, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to spray it on the areas that I'm going to do my blend panel, and so that blend actually lands on a wet surface and not lands dry, because if it lands dry it'll be crusty and will have like a halo. I've never done a blend before, so this is my first try. I've been watching a lot of videos, and I think that I got it pretty well committed to memory what I need to do. So yeah, we're gonna basically start off by hitting this whole thing with a coat of base coat blender. So I'm gonna go get some, mix it up, and I'm gonna shoot this side and the other side, and we'll wait for it to flash off. And then after that, we're gonna go ahead and take it to the next step. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get my mask set up and everything. I have a whole mask set up, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'd like to show you guys. So I'm probably just gonna throw it on a time lapse because I'm not a pro and this is my first time doing this sort of thing. So I'm gonna throw it on a time lapse and let you guys watch, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not necessarily 100% satisfied with the way that it's looking right now, but I think that overall, in the end, it's going to be a pretty good finished product. Once the clear goes on, I think everything will look good. You guys can see it probably looks really banging on camera just because everything looks good on camera, but you can see the base coat laid down really nice. I had a little bit of an issue over here where I may have had like a run, but you know, for the most part, it looks really good. I'm pretty pumped. The color match is decent. I think that our blend went pretty well, so hopefully once we get the clear coat on, everything looks really good. Once we get it out in the sunlight, should be able to take the tape off tonight. It's gonna bake in here all day. The booth is super hot, and that might have led to the clear base drying before I would have liked, so that I ended up misting it on dry, and I ended up having some other issues with mixing paint and stuff. But just hoping that we did okay. I'm gonna go ahead and tack rag this whole thing, try to get off any of the overspray that I got on it and any dust that was in the air, and then I'm gonna go ahead and mix up some clear coat and get started clearing. And the booth is now cooled down to 88. I got a little bit of AC air coming from inside, so we got that going on, and so that's pretty cool. So hopefully I don't overheat and burn up in this place. It got up to 95 before, so that is pretty toasty. That attic air is no joke. It's very hot up there. I think next time I'm gonna paint on a cloudy day, especially with this new booth setup. Although I do like it, there's a lot of negative pressure here, and it seems like it's doing a pretty good job of keeping the dust out of my paint. Minimal dust, a couple of pieces in the gas door, but for the most part, it's looking really nice. So hopefully the clear lays down good. I'm gonna get started. Alright guys, I got my clear on. Everything's pretty much dry. It looks really good. It looks better on camera than it does in person. But there is a good amount of orange peel
just because I think it's the way that I laid the paint down and because of how warm it is. The paint looks good. The blend doesn't look that bad. Uh, it seems like it matches okay. It's definitely going to need to be wet sanded. If you're able to see some of the orange peel in it, it's definitely not a factory orange peel look. It's definitely not a factory orange peel look, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. A wet sand's definitely in need, but I think in the end, we're gonna have a good looking finished product. It's gonna look really nice. So I'm pretty happy with the way that everything turned out, that's for sure. Alright guys, so it's the following day, and I just want to let you guys know that I am no professional, and you can tell just by the way this paint looks. Basically, we got a lot of orange peel in the paint. I don't know if you can actually tell on camera. I'm sure you'll be able to see it. It's pretty bad, but it doesn't really match the factory paint like I would like. The color looks pretty good, but the finish doesn't match. So I want to wet sand this and then buff it. So what I have here is some 1500 grit sandpaper and this soft foam sanding sponge here. So I'm going to use this and this paper wet, and I'm going to go over the whole thing. You want to wait at least a day afterwards, and you can see it in the light how orange peely it is. But yeah, we're gonna try to take that down. I know I put a lot of clear on it, so should have enough so that we don't sand through. I'm gonna go ahead and practice down here where the flare is gonna be, see how flat we can get it to look without, going through the clear. And I want to try to match that factory peel. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this thing a whole wet sand on this side, and then I'd like to go over it again. And when I go over it, I'll probably use like 2500 or 3000 or something like that. So I'm gonna have to buy that. But yeah, I like the way this is coming out. I gotta get some more sandpaper, and then we'll be able to finish it off. And I think that the color match is pretty decent. We'll see what you guys think on camera, but there's a few imperfections here and there, but overall I'm pretty happy. The metallic looks like it laid down really nicely, so I'm excited to see the finished product. So if you guys take a look now, this is looking really good. It's nice and flat. I went ahead and hit it with some 3000. I got these 3000 little scuff pads here. They're like foam. I went over by hand and did the whole thing. It looks super good, guys. It looks really flat. I'm pretty pumped. I just gotta wait and see exactly how this thing's gonna buff out. I think it's gonna look really awesome though once I buff it all out. So got my buffing pad all cleaned off with the cotton. I got like a nice heavy to medium cut here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We'll see how this thing polishes out. So guys, I did my little wet sand and buff, and I just want to show you the results. Really amazing. You should be able to tell the difference from the last picture to this one. I'll see if I can show you the other side versus this side. But what we ended up doing, I'll show you the process on the other side. But what I ended up doing was taking the 1500, getting it knocked down till it was pretty close to flat, and then I went over it with some 3000, and I got some 3000 in like a little soft sanding sponge right here. So this guy is what I used, and it really seemed to flatten it out. And then I buffed it, and it really gave this thing an insane amount of shine. I mean, the other side looks so hazy compared to this, just because the last coat of clear that I laid down, I think I went just too fast because I didn't have that much left in the bucket, and I didn't want to mix more for my third coat of clear. I knew I was going to end up wet sanding and buffing it anyway, so I figured I would just get a little bit more paint down, and maybe it was a bad idea. Maybe I made more work for myself in the end, but this side looks, you know, it looks super like hazy, and you can see all the orange peel in the light there, and you're not really getting a good reflection. I don't know. It looks good on camera on the little GoPro screen, but I bet it probably doesn't look that good. But the other side is just so nice now. It looks amazing. You guys can definitely tell that it's more glossy, and yeah, like it just looks awesome. So just goes to show you guys can get a finish like this in your own garage, and all it just takes is a little wet sand and buff after you're done, and you can really get some good results. I think that the color match is like really decent. Like I thought it was going to be much worse. I do have to get it outside still just to see what it's going to look like outside, but it looks really good in here, and I'm pretty pumped about it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go to the other side, and you know, it's by no means perfect. There is still orange peel, but that's good because we still have orange peel in the factory paint. So you want to try to replicate the factory orange peel, and I might have a little bit less than the factory now because I've done so much sanding. So we'll see how the other side goes. I'm going to sand a similar amount, maybe a little bit less, and then I'm going to buff the other side, and then we'll go ahead and start piecing this thing back together, and I'll show you guys what the finished product looks like. Alright guys, so I've been at this with the 1500 for a while. So I sanded it pretty good. I got it mostly flat in a lot of areas. I don't want to go too flat because then you kind of get rid of all the orange peel and it won't match the rest of the car. So there are some areas that I tried to leave some wave to it. I might have gone a little bit too far, but you know, I'd rather have it too flat than too orange peely. So it looks pretty decent. I know I'm going to have this whole bottom section all covered by fender flare in that lower piece, so I'm not too worried about that and this here. But yeah, so for the most part it's looking pretty flat. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the 3000 and just go over everything with the 3000, and that's going to make sure that we get a nice fine and even scratch everywhere, and that way it doesn't take that long to buff. I'll clean off the buffing pad, and we'll go ahead and hit this with that medium cut and then a swirl mark remover. And I don't really have a glaze, and I gotta look into getting a glaze or something of that nature, but the other side came out so nice. You guys will see how nice this side comes out in comparison to what it did look like. So we got a couple of dings right here, but you know, could have probably touched them up, but it is what it is. It looks really good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with it. We had a little area up here where he had no clear coat prior, and I didn't want to put any base here because you know, it would be a bad blend up here. We'd have to like do more blending into this panel, so I decided to leave it alone. But I think you can see it a little bit. We'll see how it buffs, but yeah, overall pretty happy. Everything's looking really good. Yeah, this job came out awesome. The bodywork is super nice and flat. We've got that little ding here that I wasn't able to fix, but we'll just buff right through that, and yeah, everything feels really nice. So let's go get some 3000 on this, and then we'll move on to the next step, and then we'll be pretty much done with this thing, ready for reassembly. guys, so I got it out in the sun, and man, does it look good. I'm so pumped. It couldn't have come out better. The color match looks really awesome. You really can't even tell that it is a different color that I blended, so that is as good as I could have asked for. I went ahead and put some of it back together here, but yeah, it's looking really awesome, guys. This side too looks great. This is the side that was actually all smashed in, so nice to see that everything matches, and it looks good even in the sun. I saw it earlier. It looks fantastic, so I'm pumped.